All right, yeah, let's yeah. On that note, we will definitely get the show going and stop talking about coffee that has been removed from the end trails of an animal. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the AM show hosted live on AlphaMint. It is Monday morning, so hopefully we can get your week started off with some good stuff. As always, it is Clout Cobain here, host of the AM show, along with my co-host, the Winter Wolf himself, Mr. Free Market Capitalist.
Lowercase g, lowercase m.
Yes, it has been decided by the AM Moon Loungers that it is lowercase GM. But yeah, GM to you guys. Hope everybody had a great weekend. I did. It was my last weekend at work. Very exciting stuff there. And I think that there was some good signs in the crypto and NFT space over the weekend. And on that note, let's just lead off with a quick state of the market in terms of crypto. I'm sure most of you noticed when you woke up today that Ethereum ran up to a new all-time high just below 4,800. Amazing stuff for Ethereum, and the most remarkable thing is that there wasn't even really a major pullback. We're sitting at around 4,750 right now, and normally when we have those run ups, there is an immediate pullback, and then it kind of trades sideways or dumps a little bit. So definitely some shades of 2017. Bitcoin doing the same thing. It is extremely close. Just refreshing my page, almost 66,000. And again, it does kind of feel like we're just kind of at the very onset of that giant run up that we had in 2017, 2018.
There's a supply crisis brewing in both Bitcoin and Ethereum, and it's been going on for a while as institutions demand Bitcoin and Ethereum goes deflationary because of 1559. So I think that it feels much more when we say up only, it just feels like it's doing that because there's not enough of it to go around. It doesn't feel like it's some sort of pump or it's getting ahead of itself. It feels like it digested the froth from the last year, and now it's just really poised to make new all-time highs market cap wise.
Yeah, anyone involved in crypto in 2017 will remember that Bitcoin run up. And I believe there was one in 2013 that was more, before my time. But it was just this incredible pump where it just started going from 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 to 6,000. And then it hit 10,000. Everyone's like, okay, this must be the top. And then it just kept going. It was like every day it was just going up 10%, 5%, 8%. And then, it kind of topped around 20,000, and then Ethereum kind of went through the same cycle right after where it just kept going and going and going, and it just it does kind of have shades of that. So very exciting time to be involved in crypto in any capacity.
Yeah, it looks like it could go parabolic at any moment. We'll see what that means for the NFT market in the short term, but crypto looks froggy.
So yeah, speaking of NFTs in the short term, again, we had a little bit of a run up last week towards the end of the week. That does seem to have kind of chilled out, at least when you're looking in terms of floors. The great news is that the gas has kind of settled down. So some of the volume seems to be picking back up, especially in lower cap projects. But looking at the 1 day change, it's pretty thin green right now. Only one project above 20% up, and then you have some other ones. EtherOrcs kind of had a nice little 10% run. Cool Cat sitting at about 6%. Nothing substantial, but yeah, a lot of red on that 1 day, and then the 7 day again, lots of red again. We kind of saw it trending towards the green, and now it's kind of switched back to red. And some of the projects that I know AlphaMint has been involved in have kind of taken a beating, to be honest. Yeah, Mutant Cats is down almost 40%, EtherOrcs down 30%, Kaiju down 30%.
And it's obviously floors right now aren't reflecting the stabilization that's kind of happened. There's been some accumulation under the surface, but it's certainly not reflected in floor price yet of existing projects. I think the most heartening sign is in mints. Quite a few mints have now been selling out and staying way above mint price afterwards.
Yeah,
So if we're looking for good signs, that's your best one.
huge sign, and that's exactly what I was just going to say about, looking for indicators that the NFT market is kind of coming back to life. Floors aren't always a great example of that. Sometimes the entire market will rip, but yeah, minting is coming back, whether that's a product of gas, whether it's liquidity coming back from the DeFi markets and trying to park itself into some NFTs. Not too sure yet, but a great sign overall. One of the projects that did really well this weekend was the Cosmic Ducks, which you alluded to kind of in the pre-show.
Yeah, Rajesh, shout out, was really on this project early, loved the art, and was pushing it hard in AlphaMint. It seemed like a botched launch right away. The devs didn't do their, it wasn't properly done. I didn't know the exact specifics because I wasn't involved, but I believe they minted Genesis and V2 at the same time. There was some weirdness that had every alpha channel I was in fudding the launch. Like I went to Kaiju's, I went to Orcs, I was in AlphaMint, and everyone was like, man, this launch failed. Oh, the art is good, but what are we doing here? And it found its footing. I say this, cool art can often overtake a failed launch, and the Cosmic Ducks V2, I believe, at one point got up to 0.4 from a 0.05 mint.
Yeah, the Genesis drop. Yeah, 1,000 of them, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and the Genesis got up to 1.5, I think, of which it's 1,000 versus 8,000 as far as the Genesis versus V2 supply. So that was a really successful mint. And there were a few other ones.
Yeah, it is great to see that. And by the way, shout out to Rajesh, who is a pretty new member of the AM Moon Lounge, coming in hot with that alpha. Always love to see that. But yeah, looking at the Cosmic Ducks, definitely seeing some sales around 4 or 5 ETH. 3.3 ETH, and then kind of scales down through there. But and that of course is the Genesis aspect of it. But again, a 10K drop that sold out, held above floor after reveal. Definitely a great sign for the NFT market in general. Another one that I'm looking for right now to be a good indicator of it, aside from CloneX, which I'm sure we'll talk about, is the Art Blocks curated drop that's happening today. Factory typically ends up being a bit of a dumpster fire lately. But curated is one that always seems to succeed, and people have a great opportunity to flip. So what's your take on that? You think that it's going to be something that mints out pretty easily, or?
I think that it will. I believe that the FUD on Gen Art hit a fever pitch yesterday when Shubang declared the entire sector dead. It's never coming back. There's no innovation within the sector. That's a pretty good indicator that people are, they're pretty fed up with it at this point. It's closer to a bottom than not, and there hasn't been a curated drop in a while. Gas is low, which you wouldn't think mattered for Art Blocks, but it all contributes and it all helps, and all the whales are back from NFT NYC. So I also think that's going to be a boon too. I do think it's going to sell out. Does that mean Gen Art is back? No. I don't think there are many indications that Gen Art is bottoming. The only thing I could say is that I know whales are accumulating slowly in the background, but that doesn't mean it's going to rebound anytime soon.
Right, and if we know Shubang, I've never known him to make a take that wasn't like flaming hot. So he's great at calling these things. But yeah, again, there hasn't been a curated drop for a while, but the factory drops have been pretty terrible. If this thing goes crazy and has some big sales, and obviously it's a Dutch auction, we'll see where that mints out at. But again, could be pretty bullish for the market. And I guess, again, an indicator that we often talk about on this show is the CloneX one. So you have a little bit of gossip for us on that.
Well, the date for CloneX has been Jello. It originally was supposed to be mid-October, and they've been pushing it back since then. They want to get everything right is the party line and the reason they're giving to everyone, but it's been a little frustrating if you're sitting on these 15E mint passes that has all that ETH locked up, and you're like, damn, let me get that. But apparently now we know it's coming before November 18th. I have direct information about this. So looks like within the next 11 days, we're going to be getting probably the best indicator of where NFTs are going to go for the short to medium term.
So it is, yeah, it's been confirmed internally, or this is just, I mean, obviously nothing in this world is set in stone. And as we've seen time and time again, people are more than willing to.
It's the first number they've ever given before November 18th. Everything has been end of or middle of until then. So I think they're ready. I think they're just,
so
crossing their T's.
Definitely trying to get as much Ethereum into their coffers before they run up to 40K. If that's what I'm understanding. No, very exciting to watch for that. And I think it's going to be a success regardless. But what kind of success it is going to definitely dictate, the market to come. So keep an eye out for that. And it looks like we have less than 10 days to go. I'm going to throw the ball in your court with this one, but there's a little bit of a story that you have behind an airdropped NFT back in the BitClout days that a pretty controversial member of BitClout stole and used as a profile picture. It's been sitting in your wallet for a long time in what you consider to be your junk wallet, and it randomly sold last night.
Yeah, I really don't care if people right-click save, but if you knew the dynamics of BitClout and how weird the relationships were because you bought and sold people their coins, this guy got on a lot of people's nerves. This person who we are talking about, Sebastian, Seb, he right-click saved an NFT. My shtick on BitClout for the most of it was that I would post NFTs and, that was it. I was just showing people what NFTs were and could be, and I'd comment on them. And he right-click saved an NFT up there that I kind of liked.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I've got it up on my screen right now. I am video recording this, and hopefully it'll make it up on YouTube. But it does. My first impression was that it's an X copy. Not to rub salt in that wound, but yeah.
The first comment that the legend Ghost, if you know him, he's an artist who's in AlphaMint. The first thing he ever said to me is, "That's nice, but it kind of looks too much like X copy." I said, "Oh, well, yeah, that's kind of true, but whatever." So I put, when this guy right-click saved it and he had kind of got under all our skins, I was disgusted. I put it up for 1E and I didn't want to look at it again. Disgusted. So this morning I wake up and the first thing in my mailbox is, "Your item has sold." And the name was Anytime. I didn't even know what it was. This isn't a junk wallet that I never look at that has a few things in it. And somebody bought it. And I know most people get happy when something like that happens. All of a sudden, I get a feeling in the pit of my stomach like, oh, shit, what did I do? I mean, I had forgotten I had this thing up for sale. And 1E in this bear market is not a small purchase. So I'm like, oh, my God, is the floor on this guy's work 10E? What did I do? What's going on? I went to go check out the collection. It's had a total of 8.8 Ethereum in sales. This guy doesn't sell a lot. But
he does sell to Vincent Van Gogh.
Really? Vincent Van?
Yeah.
Are you joking?
No, I'm not. 2 months ago, Vincent Van Gogh picked up a couple for very, very cheap. Not the ones that you have. And so I hate to break that news to you right now, but nothing.
This is good. This is not going to work out for old Uncle Free, I promise. We could be celebratory this morning. Here, I have to give my son a coin for saying the word, the F word.
Oh.
As you told me, Vincent Van Gogh bought his work, so I'm being chased around the room now, being asked for a quarter. And
get that man a quarter.
Get that man a quarter. So that was pretty much it. Was that it sold this morning, and we're going to see how it works out for me in the long term. But a fun part about this was airdropped to me for free after buying another piece of his. So we know a lot of crypto is built on airdrops. People want them, people expect them. You support companies early because maybe one day they're coming. And the original piece, I don't even know if I have it up for sale, but no one's made me an offer on that. And the airdrop he sent me sold for 1E this morning. So that was pretty great. ENS, if you know what ENS names are, if you've seen people with the .eth names in their profile, that company allows you to put an address, a text address, as your wallet address for your Ethereum wallet. So people can easily send you NFTs or Ethereum without having to know your, 37-digit wallet address. They're doing an airdrop today. Anybody who bought these names previously is going to receive a certain amount of tokens based on what you bought and how you use their service today as well. So good day for airdrops.
Yeah, if you have one of those, keep an eye out for that. I did want to just circle back to the conversation about you having that drop, or sorry, that X copy looking art up for sale, and you kind of you threw it up there and forgot about it. And God, that was probably 4 months ago, 5-6 months ago. It's just been sitting there, and it kind of, made me think about this interesting topic about whether or not you should list any of your NFTs at all, unless that's like your hard and fast plan for it, because it's one of those things that either you're listing to sell and you're putting it under the floor or around the floor if it is a floor item, and you're either trying to catch that run up or run down, or it's going to be sitting there probably indefinitely. And if it ever does sell, like you said, you're going to have that moment of like, oh shit, why did this sell and what am I about to miss out on?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Well, I think that's really why there's only 2 times you should leave something for sale, all right, or put something for sale. That's when you're selling into volume. Now, whether it's, volume where you could place it a little above the floor, a little below the floor, at the floor, you're essentially selling the floor into volume, and that sale is going to go through. It's essentially instant liquidity. The other time I put things for sale is if I put them 10 or 20 times above what I think are rare in that would go for. Now, why do I do this? I own some art blocks pieces or some one of ones that they may sit there for sale for a month or 4 months or 6 months or a year. But when that one person who really wants it, they're going to pay you what you want. Even if they don't pay you what you listed, they make you a pretty nice offer, and you may get more than it's worth just because some wealthy person desires the thing you own. I wouldn't list for any other reason, because as Cobain just said, you're going to either get caught up in a sweep where you could have gotten a lot more money for your NFT, or it's just going to sit there unsold and annoy you every day when you go look in your portfolio.
Yeah, and that's the only thing, is if you're going to leave something listed, you have to be very comfortable with the idea that this was your plan from the get-go, and it being executed is going to sit well with you, and you got to be able to be comfortable with watching that floor really kind of take a run up if that so happens, because if you have an enter and an exit point that you're going to be happy with and some kind of time frame for it, then sure, go ahead. Definitely a little bit more beneficial for people that aren't watching the markets all of the time. But if your time horizon is longer and whatnot, I wouldn't leave these things being listed personally. You got to be comfortable with the wins too. Like for you, this was an airdrop thing. It was 1 ETH, and like as of today, that's almost $5,000.
Yeah.
So it's a little bittersweet, right? But no, it's a perfect point, and I just don't think that it's a great trading strategy. And as I look towards being more active in this space and being online more often, I'm definitely going to be delisting a bunch of the projects that I have listed right now for that simple reason. And if the floor ever runs up and then it's something that I do decide to sell, it will be into volume.
If it's in your hidden folder and you don't need the Ethereum, do not list it. There's just no, you're hate listing it. And you know what? That's what I did with this NFT. I mean, chuckle. But this is one reason why people love crypto. I mean, this was a piece of apparently junk that was sent to me for free, and I woke up to $5,000. So yay,
Well,
crypto.
just remember that somebody put a small bet on a SHIB coin last August and woke up to $5.6 billion. So, it's not always the case. And then, in the hidden folder, there's definitely going to be stuff that dies a slow or quick, painful death. But yeah, you never know. You never know what happens with some of these things as more people move into space and start to look for those cheap moonshots, right?
Yeah, just don't list anything like 30% above the floor.
Yeah, if you're gonna list it,
like
you said, you just listed it for 1 ETH. Like, this thing's never gonna fucking sell.
Yeah,
and
right.
Lo and behold. Okay, quickly moving on. This is a topic that I think will probably the last time we go in depth on until there's any kind of major changes in the projects. But BearX, the BearX saga is finally coming to a bit of a close. This was something that we've been a little bit critical of, but the mint did happen. Everything kind of went off without a hitch, seemingly. And again, if you're looking for encouraging things in the NFT space, it is holding above its floor. And since being dropped, has traded over 1,100 Ethereum in volume. So, I guess good for them.
Yeah, this is what I believe is low effort art that tried to copy the kaiju model, and did it successfully. And regardless of what I think about the project, it is very heartening to see new mints holding above what they minted for. So
yeah,
that is awesome.
Couple of small notes that I think you and I have a little bit of mixed feelings about, or maybe differentiating opinions, but maybe your love for kaiju is part of this. But, BearX did their mint, and then after their mint was done, they started listing their one of ones that they've done sneak peeks and whatnot for as an auction on OpenSea. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you said one of them went for over 40 ETH.
Yeah, I love kaiju, but I don't love this tactic that a few projects have started doing, and kaiju did pretty successfully. They brought in like 200 ETH from.
Wait, it was a kaiju that went for 40 ETH?
Yeah, it was a kaiju.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said BearX because I was looking at it right now, and I did see 8 and 7.5, 5 ETH for the one of ones. But
you want to know what's funny? It was a kaiju who bought that BearX one that you posted, like the what I guess it was a one of one with those tattoos that didn't look right.
Right.
Someone in kaiju room bought that. I was like, really?
Yeah.
But
so I think
kaiju,
personally that doing this is one shitty. Like, you're making a lot of money off of a mass drop. They dropped almost 3,700 of these NFTs, and they made some nice change off of it. But to kind of go for the gusto and list their one of ones and as an auction and seeing these people spend 8 Ethereum on them, I think part of the fun about minting and throwing some money into this is the chance at getting a one of one. This is a long time thing why loot boxes were so popular in games like Counter-Strike or Rocket League and whatnot. It was that shot at something that was really rare. Pokemon cards did this originally, right? There was always that chance of pulling that gold Charizard or, whatever was in that group of packs. This, I mean, God, that would be like, taking a shot at finding one of these and then finding out after that was never in the pack and that, you can still buy one for 20 grand or more.
So that's how I felt. I felt that way with kaiju when I first joined and went to their website. The first one I saw was the rainbow nuclear fallout kaiju GIF. And I mean, I was like, all right, I'm in love with these. I'm going to do whatever I can to get it. And lo and behold, it sold for 42 Ethereum in an auction after the mint. They posted what they called the legendaries, the one of ones, after the mint and auctioned them all off. They brought in almost as much from the one of ones as they did from the mint. And it doesn't have any really long-term ramifications for the project, in my opinion. But one reason the first thing to bounce back in this market are mints is because it's a lottery. People know I could go pay a very small amount of ETH and maybe walk away with something worth 20, 40, 50, or 100.
Yeah, it's that shot at a moonshot, right?
Yeah.
Turn 0.08 into 50.
Yeah, and when you find out the rares are not even attainable by the average person who is minting, that's pretty disappointing. So I that I don't like that projects do this, and I would seriously reconsider it if you are a project who's launching soon.
Yeah, definitely feels a little dirty. On that note, I'm ready to put the BearX conversation to bed. We looked at that on Friday very briefly, and since then I've had over 60 Discord notifications from that from the BearX Discord. So I am ready to mute that, and keep an eye on it from the sideline. If anybody had a big win on that, like, kudos to you. Or if you're holding it and you feel good about the project, again. That's one of the beautiful things about this space, is that there's no right or wrong answer, and a lot of things that we haven't believed in the past have done very, very well. Bored apes, but
I heard somebody say they didn't like begons yesterday. What? Wait, what? I couldn't even get my head around this. I could. It must have been a mistypo or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've never heard that opinion before, and I hope to never hear it again. All right, really quickly, let's get into our last topic of the day. Is the Fishtank, one that has garnered a lot of attention in the AlphaMint Moon Lounge over the last couple weeks as we got into the Discord early. A lot of members on the whitelist, and a lot of strange stuff going on with that team. The general consensus is that, they're young, they're inexperienced, they're trying to do things a little bit differently, as you can see with the art and the style of it. Not a traditional profile picture. There's some gamification in it. But some of their marketing strategies were a little bizarre, and I think overall it hurt the long-term prospects of this project. So, the founder of it, Goo, is that how you say it, is a 19-year-old marketing major currently in university. And this is, I think, going to be a pretty valuable lesson in marketing for him. Right now on my screen, I'm looking at the tweet that he has pinned to the Fishtank NFT Twitter. It says, "No marketing, but everyone seems to know us. That's how you know you have a good project." One, that is marketing in and of itself. I mean, I know he's not out there actively promoting it, but saying we're not doing marketing, like, you are now marketing. You have a Twitter, you're tweeting, you're engaging with people. And then, that's how you know you have a good project. That's something that just rubs me the wrong way, because I don't think that you get to say that. Like, that's for other people to decide. It's there's a little bit of an ego stroke in that comment.
You learn that in Marketing 102. He's only at 101 right now, so he'll get that next semester. There's a few things that are wrong here, okay? And it started with his big push about like a week and a half ago to really get these blue chip projects on board, which I think on its face or originally was actually a very good idea. In private, you negotiate maybe some whitelist spots or some cool things. Like for Kaiju, they were indicating there were going to be Kaiju themed things in the Fishtank, which Kaiju people really loved. This was a good idea, but he seemed to then start using it purposely for marketing, putting the leaks out there, snipping very small snips from text conversations with Anonymice and with apes and punks and people he was talking to. And he basically put all his marketing around these blue chip projects. And a lot of them were not happy with how he marketed their partnerships, because we know in this business, if you state you're collabing with punks, that's a big deal. And how that collab is going to be presented and come out is a big deal. And this kid, gave a lot of wink winks and took the marketing and ran with it. Right. And it pissed off a lot of the people that he was negotiating with.
Yeah. Your project should be your project first, and not relying on collabs to kind of carry the weight of the marketing or the exposure. He had enough hype. It was subtle hype. It wasn't like a Mecha hype train or a BearX or a Kaiju hype train. He had enough hype to mint out this project. And then, correct me if I'm wrong, he closed off the Discord after the whitelist was full, kind of, shutting. Is that right?
Yeah, I thought
Yeah.
everything looked like it was actually very smart up until a certain point. He closed off the Discord, and then anybody who could still see the general and stuff was on the whitelist. Seemed like he had more than enough, like you said, to sell out his mint and all that. But then we got into the great gas war of this year. Not war, but the idea that SHIB and all these other coins were pumping gas so high that you had 5 on-chain games all launching into this worst gwei period we had. And, young kids who are influenced easy, especially by their fans, and this is everyone's mistake, Steve Jobs famously hated focus groups, and it's because people don't know what they want. If people knew what they want, they'd build it. Okay. They love to tell people with billions of dollars what they want and how to build, but nobody really knows. So he starts listening to everybody in the general about, oh, this game's going to be expensive. I don't even know if on-chain could work. You may have to do L2. By the end of the week, he had pulled most of the parts of this game that matter off-chain. And when you're talking to blue chip projects, their whole life is on chain. Everything for them has to be on chain. You don't take anything off chain. So you're lauding all these blue chip projects that you're partnering with, and then at the end of the week you say, yeah, we're taking it all off chain, and we're basically, not even going to be what we said we were going to be. Huge mistake. You're going to piss a lot of people off by doing that.
Yep, absolutely. And as it stands right now, they have closed the mint contract off. They're looking at relaunching, I think. There was some kind of a thing built in where there was no trading of these NFTs in the first 24 hours of the whitelist mint. A lot of strange things that just, they wanted everything to happen on their terms, how they thought everything should be played out. And I think they stifled a lot of the excitement, Pretty hard thing to ask people to mint a project that, you right away just say you can't sell it though.
Yeah, and again, this is another thing people took from Kaiju's playbook. Kaiju was the first project I had ever seen that you could not trade the pre-reveal NFTs before they were revealed. So with Kaiju, you could list them, but you couldn't sell them. And again, this was another project copying what was, one of the more hype drops of the year. And again, just to top off all the stuff we just talked about, his launch was just a shit show, completely failed. They had to close the contract down. I know some people minted, but most of the whitelist did not mint. The front end is down because there was a lot of fudding about it wasn't SSL verified, his front end, and then his contract was an Etherscan verified. So
and in the midst of all of the FUD on the Discord, they went to bed. They're like, I got class in the morning. Like, good luck, guys.
That was the best part. And it's like, we need our beauty sleep. We got to get up early for class. So there you go.
In the midst of pulling in like, $1.5 million or whatever quick math I'm trying to do here, it's just like, yeah, pretty tired though. So like, we'll see what happens in the morning.
Yeah, youth and inexperience. And I got to say, I was ready to mint this project up until 9 p.m. last night. And just this morning, and thank you, Shub, for posting this in the Moon Lounge, but just seeing that conversation with the dev mouse from Anonymice, I don't want to mint this project anymore. I don't know if any of it is on chain at this point. I'm over it. And, I'm not fudding it. I love the art and I love the concept. It was just too much, too many procedural errors for me to continue.
Yeah. I don't have any more comments on that. I mean, we can talk about this until, we could literally fill a whole show about the do's and don'ts of this. I think at the end of the day is, copying a specific project's playbook with zero regard to the context in which, why they did what they did. Because Kaiju was a unique drop in and of itself that had its own issues, and they seemed to respond in real time to it very, very well. But it was more of one of those, they did what they had to do in the time, and they made all of the right choices. And looking at that as a playbook to launch a smooth project. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, Kaiju pulled off the smoothest and smartest contract migration I've ever seen.
That had its own issues, though. I mean, they had to move the contract, and everybody kind of that minted before got not stuck with, but it'll probably end up doing something with it. But error. What was that?
No, so it's actually pretty cool. What they did is once they realized they had to migrate, about 1,800 people had already minted from the whitelist, and they migrated everybody who had already minted automatically over to the new contract and changed. Your Kaiju was in an egg at the time. They changed those eggs to a JPEG that says failed experiment.
Right.
And now that was what it was. Yeah. And now within the next week or two, they're going to announce utility for this failed experiment. We believe is going to be some sort of mutant serum or something. So there's going to be an even bigger value add for the people that decided to mint early and get these and now have these failed experiment NFTs. But, to the overarching point, every single thing Kaiju did was organic and a response to what was happening in real time. When you try to go copy that in a superficial way, of course this is what happens. I mean, this is, it's a natural result of that.
I'm just seeing in the AM show chat that In Business just admitted to minting at least half of the current ones that are minted. So I'm exaggerating, but you know what? Honestly, like everybody has good mints, bad mints, and us saying this does not mean that it's going to be a complete flop or a failure. Just our current take of what's going on in that, and how we feel. Of course, your own research, your own gut intuition of how you want to play this space is up to you. And there are a lot of people with differentiating opinions than us that quite frankly do a lot better than us too. So
and we know
can't knock anybody for playing their projects the way that they want to.
And I'm less trading focused. I buy things I love a lot, and that was why I was interested in Fishtank. But it's to much me more of the purist angle of they're not on chain anymore. So BearX was a great 1020x after mint. There's not saying you're not going to make any money. It's just from my point of view as an OG and a purist, I don't like how it ended.
All right. Speaking of how it ended, we will conclude the content portion of our show, and as always, like to bring a couple people up on stage to shoot the shit. We got about 20 minutes to do that, so if you want to start raising your hands and you have any questions, anything you want to talk about, anything you found was interesting, if you want to tell us that we are terrible at hosting a live show, like, come on up, we could take it. But
Cobain could take it.
Free market. Yeah.
I'm sensitive.
Yes. He will definitely have to be given some more quarters.
Oh, and that is for Kiwi, who's been waiting all weekend.
Is Kiwi in the chat?
No. I know he's listening.
No, he's not.
He's not. What? Oh my God.
You ruined the show. All right, I've got Josh coming up. He has not been up on the stage, and then we're going to bring in Business on after that. So I've sent the invite to Joshua Cottrell. Hey, man. Welcome. How's it going? I apologize last week when I tried to shout out your project and mispronounced or completely butchered the name. But yeah, good to have you up here.
Oh, hey, happy to be here, and thanks for the shout out. No, I appreciate it. I no worries about the forgetting the name. I know how it goes. There's a lot of projects out there.
A lot of projects, yeah. But yours is I really like the stuff that you're putting out there.
Oh, thank you guys. Yeah, no, it's been a crazy fun experiment, and it would not exist if it was not for AlphaMint and all the folks here who encouraged me, and I was able to ask dumb questions along the way.
Awesome, man. Good stuff.
Yeah, so
totally.
Do you have anything you wanted to talk about, or just coming up to say hi?
Wanted to say hi, but I have just a topic I've been wanting to hear more about. So I'm fascinated by projects like, I'm thinking like Bull Market Girlfriends. I think Chubbicorns might have done something similar. These projects where they aren't doing a massive drop, they're dripping out new art on a daily or weekly basis. and they're still finding success, but it kind of goes against the traditional NFT model of, hype cycle, big giant mint with lots of people coming in all at once. And I'm wondering if you guys have any thoughts on that, and like why they succeeded, how they succeeded, what makes that very different model work.
If you don't mind, I might actually turn this around on you for a second, because that's not unsimilar to what you're doing, correct?
Yeah, very true.
And how have you found that so far? Like, you have sales. I've checked the project.
Yeah. Okay, so for me, I mean, there's a challenging element to it, right? One is the kind of awareness stage is really tough. If you're a small account, if you don't have a lot of followers yet, if you're, if you're new to the space, it's really, really tough to find people to actually see what you're doing. But if you just are art focused and you've got a cool concept and you can get in front of a few people, people will buy. You'll find people who are interested in what you're doing. So there isn't like just an organic hammering away at it kind of growth approach there. I had a lot of success doing derivative PFP artwork for people. So like taking somebody's PFP image and shroomifying it, like turning it into a little mushroom. But it's really, I mean, honestly, it's hard to give attribution to like what it is that leads to a sale in this space. It's really hard to say what action did I take that led to this particular sale.
So some of my best trades have been exactly in artists or projects like that, because Chubbicorns, which is a bit of a sore spot for me, I actually knew the artist for a while from Twitter. I saw the Chubbicorns when they were 0.15, and they ramped to like 15 or 20 during the bull market. I mean, it was pretty insane. But like you said, it's a small collection. It's usually just the artist. There's no team behind it. And I think that's what's key. When you see these big dramatic drops, this is a team. It's a show. It's a coordinated effort, and it's an entertainment property. When you are an artist, and I mean, you're arting, like that's what you do. You're putting out the stuff that you make. Yeah, no, you're putting out the stuff that you make at the pace that you can. It's a different grind, but exactly how you're doing it is how you can get discovered. If Satoshi, or if somebody who really has the influence and the reach discovers your stuff, which eventually happens when you're putting out quality stuff, that's kind of how you get your little break. I mean, I know we don't like influencers in the superficial sense when they're just pumping things, but when they come across small collections, one tweet is all it takes to get that artist made, essentially.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm looking at your project right now, and just as a, for a frame of reference, you drop them, it seems to be a couple a week, is that right?
Yeah, a couple of weeks, sometimes a little more frequent, sometimes a little less. Not as consistent as I'd like.
No, but it's cool. I mean, right now you have 69 of them, or that's going to be the cap, I guess. You have 41 owners, and I think that a lot of these people are going to keep these around. Definitely not moving them to the junk or the hidden folder because they look great. But like Free Market said, all it takes is some one-of-one collector kind of going through some stuff to grab a couple of these and then tweet about it. And, from a selfish standpoint, they pump their own bags, but it'll end up being great for the artist too. Free Market, can you think of any like real, maybe not blue chip, but high-profile projects that have kind of done this?
Chubbicorns. I mean, you don't remember Chubbicorns? This was an artist that put out something that I forget who was the first person who found it. I know the last person to pump them was Elmo. If you guys know 0x Elmo, I actually knew him from FinTwit before he was a NFT guru because of Pudgy Penguins. But yeah, that Chubbicorns is such a good example because this was a small collection. This art, I forget if it was 250 or whatever size it was, but they were up there at like 0.1 for a really long time. And the moment they were discovered, they went up to like 7 or 8 E. And I believe when 0x Elmo was buying in, they were at 15 or 16 E. I'm sure they've pulled back a lot since then, but...
Yeah, I'm looking at them right now, and I apologize. You know what? Chubbicorns is a name that I am familiar with, and it kind of just slipped my mind. It was something that was right around the time that I was starting into NFTs from, more mainstream crypto. But yeah, 250. There's 170 owners. The floor right now is about 7E. So
Nice.
yeah, you know what? I don't think I had ever realized that it was a drip project like that.
Yep. And he just released a larger version called Chubaverse. I don't know the dynamics of it. Josh may know better than me, but it seems to be because of the success of Chubacorns, he's now branching out and going a little bigger.
Yeah, spin-off series, much larger is my understanding. I didn't actually participate in the minting of that one, but it looked like it was going to just be a way of leveraging the success of the initial. I think it was less than 500 Chubacorns that
250, yeah.
250, yeah.
So you've created all of the shroom heads that you're doing. It's 69. That's the cap. And are you moving on to something else now, or are you planning on expanding on that universe?
Yeah, expanding the universe, doing a little spin-off expansion series that is going to do a little bit of crossover with some of my physical artwork and all sorts of fun dynamics. But TBD, I'm gonna announce some of that coming up here pretty soon.
Well, you know what? If you want to announce it here or with us or do something fun with it, let us know because you know, as time goes on, we're going to be expanding some of the segments and doing more featured guests and whatnot too. So would love to have you on to dig a little deeper into the stuff that you're doing and, you know, the whys.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to talk more about it. It's been a wild ride and a really cool experience. And I think one thing that I don't know, I think a lot of artists out there don't have the ability to get a team right now, especially finding technical developers is going to just be impossible for a lot of people. So I think hearing about an experience of at least getting some sales as just a single solo artist is something that people might like to hear about. It's been really cool.
Yeah, many roads to the end point there. Definitely there's no obligation to do a 10K PFP generative drop. So thanks for coming up, man. I'm gonna get a in business on up here. I'm not sure if he's gonna yell at me for making fun of his fish, but we'll see what he has to say.
So pumped for you, Josh, from BitClout to Ethereum. Well done, sir.
Thanks, guys. Oh, do I have to leave the stage, or can you guys boot me?
No, we could mute you. You could stay up.
Cool.
Get the cane.
The cane.
Quit putting my fish, man. No, I'm just kidding. I actually share. Unfortunately, I got a little ahead of myself. I was like, gas is low. I'll mint this tonight before another SHIB coin comes up.
As a fellow Ice Cream Cats NFT DAO minter, I feel your pain.
Jesus, hopefully this BearX is. There's still hope yet, but I'm definitely gonna liquidate a good portion of those nine fish tanks if this thing goes and reduce that exposure for sure if I have any opportunity to. Because it's just, I don't know, it's a bad, just like you guys, I think it's a bad taste in the mouth of any serious person. You just go back and it's like, wait, what a minute. Okay, this is a 19-year-old that's going to class, made a ton of mistakes. Like, what are the chances if this does succeed? It's out of pure FOMO.
You know what? I've seen so many different projects seemingly do all the wrong things and still make it. So I wouldn't write it off just yet. I think a lot of what he has done would have been a lot more excusable if he was more of an OG and had a couple successful drops under his belt. But there did feel like there was a bit of an ego stroke in there. They were like, we're going to change the status quo about how this stuff works, which it's hard to do. But like I said, I wouldn't write them off, and I actually still am sitting on my whitelist. I guess when the mint comes up, I will have a choice whether to mint it or not. But as we were talking about earlier, I don't feel inclined to.
Right. One of the questions that there was a new model. You guys probably talked about it. I didn't catch on until like 9:30. You guys probably talked about the Galactic. That was an interesting strategy they used with now like doing like a Genesis and a secondary tier in the same launch, right? Like Pixel Foxes did the Genesis and then
Are you talking about the Cosmic Ducks?
The Cosmic Ducks, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting approach to it, but it seems to work out well for them.
Well, it's essentially the same thing almost as as just, a rarity class, right? Except for they gave in the staking aspect, they gave more utility to the Genesis, but giving that clear delineation in a launch kind of ensures a little bit more of a little bit more demand for a core group that could that can then be kind of give a nice foundation bed to a project, I think.
Well, and it was 1,000 of them, right?
Right, it was 1,000.
So, I mean, I guess I have a hard time believing that those 1,000 are one of ones, but am I wrong in that?
Well, I mean, technically, all generative pieces are one of ones, right?
Okay, so sorry, handmade like one of ones. It's kind of cool to do 1,000 of the I'm air quoting Genesis project and then 9,000 of the other ones because even if you mint, I don't know what their max mint was, but even if you mint 4 or 5 of them, you have a pretty good shot at pulling one. And obviously,
well, no, I thought they were different.
Are they different drops? Yeah, you know what? I was like I said, I'm finishing up work this weekend, so my I haven't really been I wasn't there for the whole thing, so there was different mints then because they're listed under the same project.
Yeah, they were separate. They were like separate reserved mints.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think it was maybe on the same contract or something, but they're part of the same collection.
Yeah, just minted under the same collection. Okay, maybe that's where I got a little bit confused.
It does make it a nightmare to then try to sort through and find if you're trying to buy the higher class collection, see the floor or do anything like that. But the other thing, you guys probably talked about it, but I wasn't around for it, is what's been your experience on the growth, the growth in underlying ETH versus USD compared to how that affects the ETH price of projects? Has it kind of been I mean, do these higher end 0.5 and higher, they're not really being bought by non-ETH people anyways? Does it even affect, does it really affect those collections or not?
Not at all. I've been trying to yell this from the rooftops for weeks now because everybody's favorite thing is, oh, if ETH is going up, NFTs are dead. It's nonsense. They're not. If Ethereum was $300 last year, every NFT in my portfolio is 10x in ETH terms from last year. Doesn't the run from 300 to 4,000 mean a lot more than 4,000 to 5,000?
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
If I could just present the counter argument to that, now you are starting to talk. You are correct in terms of just raw percentage and growth. The run up from 300 to 4,000 is dramatically bigger. There's no question. But as we start to touch these really, really high numbers, 5,000, 6,000, maybe we start hitting towards 10,000. Now all of the sudden, the real world value of these things not denominated in ETH becomes a substantial amount. So, maybe somebody spent, let's just say $3,000 on ETH when it was 300, bought 10 of them. Maybe they've played their cards right in the NFT market and they've grown their stack to 20 or 30 ETH, right? Their cost basis is still $3,000, but as that approaches 5,000, 10,000, they could be looking at $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $1 million in real world money. And now you're looking at somebody who maybe doesn't own a house that could buy one outright. So I don't know that you can completely say that it doesn't have any bearing on it. But I get it. A lot of us operate as one ETH is one ETH, but we're more long-standing members of the community, I think.
Yeah, but those people aren't buying projects that are over 1 Ethereum. They're not buying blue chips. They're not buying high-priced NFTs.
But you do get, I guess the one thing I am curious about is for this stuff to continue to appreciate, there has to be new money that's on-ramped, right? It can't just rely on the existing status quo OGs to make more money in ETH to buy more NFTs, correct?
It's on-ramped through DeFi right now. All that DeFi money is about to trickle back in. So it doesn't necessarily...
Are you referring to NFTs or crypto in general, right?
But you're saying, so you're saying basically as long as the OGs that know how to make money in DeFi like NFTs, you don't need any more direct, wealthy people to onboard directly to NFTs for this market to appreciate.
For blue chips and elite projects, yes.
Okay, that was the thesis. I got you. Because there is, I probably came into this buying. I'm fairly new to NFTs by comparison, and I probably started by dumping more real capital into this than most people that would come into the space. Buying ETH. My first large Ethereum buy was at, when it was like back in March, when I was like, oh, this is the train, 4,100 dump tank, and then bought some more. But
diamond hands.
I've seen, I've seen that. Like, I do see how it very quickly, it could become. It's going to be very difficult for non-Ethereum, people that aren't making their money in DeFi or aren't OGs to justify buying into this process at a later and later date as it goes higher. But if it gets onboarded through the capital coming in through DeFi, then I agree with you. It is kind of irrelevant.
Absolutely. Mid-tier and small-tier projects are going to suffer more and more, but the market will adjust for that. I mean, the prices will change as far as what people are charging in ETH for certain things, and the market will adjust to that new reality. But conversely, I do think that means blue chips can go absurdly high, like much higher than people are even understanding. Like, we talk about the fine art world, and I do think that these things that we almost think are stupid are going to hit those levels over the next few years.
So I have a couple of thoughts about what we're talking about here, and
before you go into that, I was gonna say, like the Giacometti, like Italian sculptor statues. I think they're like, something like 160 million, something, give or take. That's just crazy numbers.
Oh yeah.
So you think we'll see punks? You think we'll see punks in that? In that realm?
Well, one already sold for 500 million.
Yeah, right.
These seven trait punk owned by Seed Phrase isn't leaving his wallet for less than 9 figures. So, and it will leave his wallet before this run is over.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So one of the things that you see in Bitcoin and Ethereum now that it's become a little bit deflationary is a lot of the big buys, a lot of the transfers of Bitcoin have been into wallets that have no history of selling at all, right? So the supply on these coins are getting quite constricted. As more people move into the NFT space, particularly with Coinbase marketplace on the horizon, what seems like a high cap project of 10,000, 11,000, 8,000 becomes substantially lower as a percentage of the population that are participating in this. And, I do think that at some point we are going to see a supply constriction of good quality OG projects too. And I know Free Market talks about this all of the time. These legacy projects and how this is a historic year. Now, obviously, I don't believe that like my Ninja Toads are going to be blue chip ever. And if they are, like, lucky me. But that, but they're, you look at something like the Gapes, these kind of mid-tier projects right now, and where they could go, especially with how rabid their fan bases are and their reluctance to sell them. The supply does start to constrict as the in relative terms to the percentage of participants, right? And I don't think we're there in NFTs, but I think we are right there in crypto. And obviously crypto is the on-ramp to that. The other thing that I'm looking for is, how Coinbase actually denominates the price of NFTs. I didn't really love that OpenSea started listing the actual US dollar value beside the purchases and whatnot, only because we're operating within the crypto ecosystem, and 1 ETH does equal 1 ETH. Maybe that's just my coping mechanism to make these things a little bit more digestible in price. But, I think that I don't think it's going to do any favors if it's listed in U.S. terms, and then whatever crypto you want to buy it in, you can. Like, I really hope that they are going with the whatever native chain the NFT is on, and whatever the price in that crypto is.
Do you guys see these larger? Like, I think somebody's dropping like 100,000. We saw like 100,000 unit drop planned, like the Matrix one or something like that. Do you think these are going to be a good on ramp for new new NFT buyers as well. Like these large collections are good for kind of getting people acquainted with the scenario.
I do. I don't know if free market agrees with me, but I do. I think it's a great opportunity at low cost, and because they're doing it on side chains at low gas fees or maybe even no gas fees, for people to at least get their feet wet and comfortable with the idea that these things exist and how to hold them, how to participate in the marketplace. Like I can't see that as being a bad thing.
That's basically what Top Shots did, right? I mean, Top Shots was a massive onboarder of
Yeah,
degenerate
I mean,
guys in the NFT space.
Top Shots weren't the OG, obviously. Like CryptoKitties was the first big one that I could remember, and I was around for that. And I unfortunately didn't play that game back then, or else I would have been fucking around with NFTs for the last 4 years. But yeah, Top Shot is the reason why most of us are here at this point. I think they diluted the supply way too much, and then everybody that was like into the idea of NFTs were just like, well, fuck this project, but let's go find some real ones, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that you're going to see this a lot more as established companies come in. I don't think they're going to be using L1 or the OpenSea and the Ethereum mainnet. I think it's going to be a lot of low price L2s for the masses. But and speaking to that, anything pre-Bored Ape that was done this year is, I think, already gaining historic notoriety. So that is definitely what the point I'm always making about how we're early and this year is special. So
okay, so I got to start wrapping this up, but I wanted to thank In Business for coming on. Obviously, always good to talk with you, but also you kind of put in a really great what am I trying to say? You posted a lot about your thesis on staying liquid, how you manage your basket of funds and whatnot in the AlphaMint Moon Lounge. Really awesome to see a lot of that insight too, especially because you really do treat this as a business in a sense. So thank you for that. And then I just wanted to say, I saw in general chat that Trish, who is listening to us, just threw out the question. He said he was doing so well in the beginning and then got scammed for a bunch, and having trouble to get started again. And feel like the market is getting saturated. It's not clear what projects are long term or just rug money grabs. Obviously, blue chips are the way to go, but there's barriers to entry there, 100%. And we talk a lot about the importance of researching projects and jumping in the whitelist so that you can mint, hopefully minting with avoiding gas wars too. Again, I would just say stick with it. Make sure that you're following these projects closely, and if red flags are abound in the project, make sure you listen to those, because as you've unfortunately found out, scams are everywhere. But yeah, I think that whitelists and avoiding gas wars are probably some of the best way to start building liquidity, especially as the market seems to be rebounding in terms of activity, and there are projects that are going above floor and holding above floor. So minting seems to be positive EV. We'll definitely know that when Mev comes back into the space full force, that it's back on. So make sure you continue to do that, and add me as a friend as well, and shoot me a DM, and I'll see if I can do a little something for you too. All right. Any closing comments, Free Market?
No. I think that sums me up for today.
Sums you up? Okay, awesome. Well, thanks, Josh. Thanks In Business for jumping up here and talking with us for the final 20 minutes of the show. As always, thanks for everybody listening. This show should be going live, or I guess not live. The recorded version of it will be going on Spotify and Apple Music. So if you jumped in late and you wanted to hear what we were talking about, or if you have any friends that are looking to get into the NFT space, we're hoping that we are a pretty newbie friendly environment to start learning and start kind of wrapping your head around some of the concepts that we've got going on here. But Free Market, as always, great show. Thank you so much. And we'll do it again tomorrow.
Good luck out there, guys.
Good luck out there, guys. Thank you so much.